All right. Hello. Welcome to the... I did not think of a name for this. The terrifying space that is my life? I don't know. I'm not really good at being scary, could you tell? That playlist was great though. I just looked for royalty-free music on Spotify. Anyway, do you like my little avatar's Halloween outfit? I think she's really cute. Although it does look like this is not properly picking up my expressions, which is weird because I'm actually using the camera. I don't always do that, but right now I am. Therefore, it should be tracking. Obviously the lips are moving, so that's nice. Let's see. No. Let me try. No smile. I was going to try VC Face again, but that one always assumes that my eyebrows, because I guess I have very expressive eyebrows, but it tends to think that means I'm making quite odd expressions. Do I need to calibrate the position? I just updated it. Let's see. Maybe if I turn it off and then turn it on? Did that work? No. Great, okay. I mean, in that case, I guess I'll just do it without the webcam and hopefully smile or something. I know there are hotkeys for the emotions, but like, I don't know, lazy. So like if I type, okay, that's a terrible expression, but okay, I guess I can do that if I want to. It's not quite as natural. You'll have to forgive me, but this is a scary story, so... Oh, thank you so much for following, Clyde9. Welcome. I hope you are ready for some not super scary... I don't know. I think this is technically a horror game. We'll see, I guess. So, pretty much all I've played through thus far is the first 3 chapters, most of which were in the demo, so I haven't really encountered anything new. Alright, the best policy. Luca paused for a moment, catching his breath. He'd only just met Beck, and somehow he already managed to drag her into this mess. Basically, we are Luca, a little deer, our best friend, Rollo. I don't know what animal he is, to be honest, but he's missing. The old decrepit fertilizer factory is now running and apparently putting toxic waste into the water that either turns your hair gray or makes you start melting or turn into flowers or something. Beck is the new cat in town, and our friend, she just moved from the big city. She is not happy about this. She has 2 moms. That's cool. I don't quite understand how relationships work in this world. Like, interspecies relationships appear to be a thing, but I don't know how you would have kids, but whatever. Anyway, back to the story. Hopefully he can make it up to her, but finding Rollo was his primary concern. I love the art style so much! That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Can I go back here at all? Or no? This is Rollo's sister and her friend. Luca, what the hell are you doing out here? Why did a kid with gray hair just run past us in a panic? Roxy and Fitz looked drained. It was clear they'd spent all day searching. That's Beck. I don't care who she is. What happened? We were just helping look for Rollo. Luca, I need you to start telling me the truth. Roxy's temper could often be dismissed as the impatience of an older sibling, but this was the most intense Luca had ever seen her. Her eyes were wild and unfocused, looking straight through Luca. Do I have the settings right? I tend to turn the audio. Okay, let's get the music better. There we go. Hello. Well, we'll see. If you have trouble hearing it, then let me know. We're running out of time. In a torrent of rambled words and tears, Luca broke down. Rollo and I were just playing in Weepwood yesterday. We were investigating lights at the old Valentine warehouse. But someone was there in a strange suit and we hid in the dumpster and had a heavy bag dropped on us. And I think it was a body. And so we ran, but we got split up. And I ran home, and it's all my fault. And now my best friend may never come back. Wow. Just wow. Roxy, still exhausted and angry, softened briefly as her eyes hunted the ground in thought. With a determined sigh, she looked up at Luca. It's not your fault, Luca. Rollo's gonna be okay. I promise. Roxy drew herself up. I'm gonna fix this. Luca, go home. But I want to help. This is too dangerous for a kid. They're like 11, I think. And the sister's maybe like 16, 17. I'm not really sure. Interestingly, the person in the weird suit, which was a hazmat suit, appeared to be human-shaped, which there have not been any humans in this game thus far, though I suppose they could be. Or a humanoid animal, like a gorilla, maybe? I don't know. I can't just sit around. I have to do something. Roxy tried to think of the safest place to send Luca. You go back to that little treehouse you two play in. Wait there in case Rollo shows up. That's still in the forest. That's not a good idea. Sound like a plan? Luca wiped his cheeks and gave a quick nod. You did the right thing telling me the truth. Now scoot. You really believe his story? What other option do we have? Things have been strange around here leading up to the festival. My dad has been acting weird lately. There's also a mysterious corporation that appears to have identical employees in town that will do surveys. Well, weirder than normal. Looking into the puddle, Roxy rubs her arms to warm up. Why is it so cold here? This place gives me the willies. Wait at the treehouse. Yep, that's our quest, okay? In case Rollo shows up. Sure thing. Do I remember where that is? No. It's in the woods, but it's like a different part of the woods, I guess. Hey, Bug Boy, how you doing? Can I not talk to you? Boo. Ah, yes, so this is the Valentine Mansion. They made the town prosperous with their fertilizing business before it closed, and now it's not quite a ghost town, but definitely closer to a ghost town than feels safe. Oh no. Mr. Nuncreed jumped with a start. Whoa, don't sneak up on an old fella like that. Sorry. Who are you talking to? What? Luca motioned to the phone booth. Oh no. I was just checking because I thought I heard it ring. But the dang thing never does, of course. How do you get the number of a payphone? Yeah, I've never seen anyone use it, really. The whole thing's a waste of money, if you ask me. Any word from Rollo yet? Not yet. Long time for a boy to lose his way. Rollo knows those woods too well to get lost. I suppose you're right. Silly boy's antics have this whole town worried sick. Antics? We all know Rollo likes to play his little pranks. You think this is a prank? What other possible explanation could there be? He's not playing a prank and he didn't get lost. Someone took him. I know it. How would you know that? Unless... Luca, is there something else that you know? Mr. Nuncreed gently placed one of his substantial hands on Luca's shoulders. Dang it, boy, if there's something you know, something that could help your friends, you need to tell folks. It's really hard to do this voice, oh my god. Luca peered up at Mr. Nuncreed. Kind eyes warmed a stern face. This music is not giving me kind vibes. There was a deeper emotion hiding beneath it all. It was subtle, but Luca could sense something eating away at him. There was a something lurking behind those eyes. Ooh, a shame. Okay. A deep sadness. If Mr. Nuncreed was that worried about Rollo, maybe he could help. He's the weird guy that hits on your granny, for God's sake. Alright. Yesterday, Rollo and I were messing around at the old Valentine warehouse. Mr. Nuncreed raised an eyebrow. Both of you? You were with Rollo when he went missing? Not exactly. I was hiding in the dumpster. The dumpster? What were you doing in there? At first we were just looking around. I just wanna... Okay, I might turn down the music just a titch. Then someone in a strange yellow suit came and dumped something on us. We both got scared and ran. That was the last I saw of him. You got scared by some garbage? This is really good music. Well, that's why you don't go skulking in someone's dumpster. But it wasn't garbage. I think it was a body. Sure, it was just some trash. No, there was a name tag. It said Deep Engineering. Mr. Nuncreed's shoulder slumped. I wish you wouldn't have said that. I knew he was a bad guy. A deep sigh bellowed from his chest. Why did you have to? I tried, Luca. God knows I tried to keep you safe. Luca attempted to take a step back, but Nuncreed's hand clamped down on his shoulder. See? Don't trust the old guy who hits on your granny. It's weird. Also, both his parents, well, one of his parents is dead and the other one is missing, so. But you Van Horns just can't help yourselves, can ya? This is interesting because his store, the drugstore, is the only one open on the street. There's another one that you can kind of see boarded up. The other one's a library, which isn't really a store. We were all so close. So close to being done with this. With a firm shove, Nuncreed manhandled Luca into the phone booth. What are you doing? Secret passage, secret passage! It's out of my hands now. The door latched shut with a mechanical hiss. Shit. As Luca pounded the glass, the floor dropped from under his feet. Yes! The inside of the phone booth was now a loose capsule plummeting at gravity's whim. Luca winced and pressed his hands to the walls. As he braced for impact, the capsule hurried to a surprisingly smooth stop. He felt a cold rush of air and opened his eyes with hesitance. Two large figures in hazmat suits occluded his view. Luca heard the deep, resigned voice of Mr. Nuncreed over an intercom. He knows too much. The end. Wait, no. This isn't the end. I know there's still much more. Somehow, this went wrong. Okay, let's try something else. Okay, so I don't want to use the shame though. How do I say not shame? No. No. Okay. So clearly we need to do something that we didn't do to get the proper thing. Okay, so it looks like we have to be strange here, and then maybe we'll get the correct emotion to not get thrown in a phone booth. Well, time to bust out the strange. This is the one where the kid... okay, we'll skip to where I left off. I don't feel so good. Help! I'm sorry, I just... Oh, shit! Yep. Okay, so he melted. I didn't want to finish that one because I felt that... That was intense. Iggy's gonna be okay, right? Nothing about this seems okay. The person at the warehouse. This strange ooze and what it did to Iggy. Was Rollo caught up in all of this? We have to find Rollo. You took the words out of my mouth. Whoa there, little buddies. You startled me. What in the dickens are you up to in this part of town? We were just helping look for Rollo. Oh, you haven't heard the good news. Rollo showed up safe and sound a bit ago. Really? So where was he? It's funny, really. He just got a little turned around in the woods. They can be disorienting, you know. I am starting to get that impression. Rollo's at his house now, getting some well-deserved rest. Wow, that's a relief. You two should scurry along before you get lost yourselves. I tried to do this, like, car salesman voice for him, but it's hard with these lines. Yeah, come on back. I can't wait to introduce you to Rollo. Oh, that reminds me. Luca, your grandmother was looking for you. She was? She was worried sick. You should march straight home. I guess... Back, your folks might be getting worried too. No. Moment. I just switched back and there was barking again, but hopefully it'll be a little calmer. What's scarier than dogs barking and interrupting your stream? I'll walk you home. I need to talk with Nellie about work anyway. Beth glanced toward Luca. I guess all's well that ends well. You snuck out of the house when your gran told you not to. She doesn't seem like the type to be fine with that. I'll introduce you to Rollo tomorrow. Sure. Glad he's okay. Oh, he's walking her home. Rollo was safe. A wave of relief washed over Luca, which was quickly replaced by a sense of dread. Gran is going to kill me. If he hurried, he might just make it home before sundown. Oy Gewalt. Okay, so now we have a different chapter 4 because of that. Interesting. Luca took a deep breath and gingerly opened the door, steeling himself for Gran's wrath. Oh, Sarge. Why must you bark? Gran? I'm home. Everything's fine. Gran? Not Gran! Please don't make this child lose all of his relatives. That would be very cruel, actually. Alright, let's check upstairs. Or maybe she's in the garden, but mostly I want to be nosy. Gran? I know I wasn't supposed to go anywhere. I was just helping look for Rollo. She has a closet that's supposed to be just for her, which means I need to access the closet. No? Fine. Parents' room? Nope. Luca was alone. Hi, Sargie. The house was empty. So Gran's not back yet. I guess that's a good thing. Nothing to do now but sleep, I guess. What do you mean? It's still day! Luca was sitting by the pond, listening to small waves lap against a rock. His father sat in a folding chair in front of him. Without turning, he spoke. Why don't you grab me some nice bait? Sure thing, Dad. We did this scene before multiple times. Not this description of it, but like the actual bait thing. Luca hopped over to the tackle box and popped open the lid. Inside was a rolling, buzzing mass. We're fishing with bees? Luca's father gave a warm chuckle. Well, you catch more fish with bees than honey. Pick us out a good one. Luca closed his eyes and plucked out a bee. He could feel its wings struggle between his fingers and thumb. Holding it at arm's length, he hurried over. His father deftly baited the hook and examined his work. Interesting choice. With a practiced flick of the wrist, the line buzzed in a graceful arc. The water accepted it without a splash or ripple. The wrong choice. But I respect it. The pond began to freeze over. Sometimes we gotta make the wrong choice before we can make it right. Pallid ice propagated across the still surface with an alarming speed. Luca scrambled back as the ground beneath him turned cold. Dad, I don't understand. Sorry, kiddo. Understanding isn't always part of the deal. The relentless ice shot through the fishing line toward his father. Dad, look out! His father casually wound the reel. None of it's your fault, you know. Never was. Dad, we have to go! Luca grabbed his father's shoulders, trying to pull him away. Please, you have to run! The ice crackled as it spread across his father's hands. That's the thing about fishing, Luca. His chest began to crystallize. You toss your hook in, and you never know what you're gonna pull out. A shock of searing cold ran up Luca's arms. He gave one last desperate tug. The chair tipped backwards in a single frozen mass. Luca tried to stop the momentum, but it was too late. He watched the icy form of his father slam into the hard ground, shattering into 1,000 pieces that crowded around his feet. Dad, I don't understand. What does all this mean? The gentle rustle of leaves was the only reply. Jesus Christ. Radio! Luca's eyes struggled to focus on the walkie-talkie. Rollo? Faintly, he could hear Rollo amongst the noise. Luca! Rollo, is that you? Luca! There? Rollo, it's the middle of the night. Luca, thank God! Listen, I don't know how long this thing will work down here. Down here? Rollo's voice was coming through more clearly now, but some words were still just static. Listen to me, someone grabbed me yesterday. What, the man in the hazmat suit? It was... took me to some sort of... I think I'm underground. Underground? Are you okay? Kinda. They seem more interested in... for now, at least. Mr. Care said you made it back home safe. Care? No. Trust. He's... Hold on, someone's coming. The signal went silent. Rollo? Rollo, where are you? That's a stupid lie for that guy to tell. Like, you can very easily check if a child is there or not, right? Luca held still, waiting for a response. His pounding heartbeat marked the passing of time. Okay, I think they're gone. Shh, getting worse. I can barely hear you. Rollo's voice began to fade. Losing signal. Not much time. I can't do a static thing. Mission control. You need to treehouse. Treehouse. With that, the signal died for good. What was he trying to say about the treehouse? What's at the treehouse? The antenna! He wants me to use the antenna in the treehouse to get a better signal. Rollo, you're a genius. Luca grabbed the walkie-talkie and sprinted to the treehouse. Maybe his gran is not there. Like, at all? Luca heard a group of footsteps approaching. He dashed behind the bushes to avoid being spotted. They better not be in on it. So, we all understand our roles? You can count on me. I still think we need more time. This wasn't the original plan. Mr. Tolliver paused, shifting his eyes to one side. We're all in danger now. I, for one, refuse to sit idly by while that danger persists. Good, Gran, go save the world. Hiram, you just keep your wits about you. Mr. Tolliver took one long, quiet breath. You're right. You can count on me. I just wish we could have made that deal with Eris Valentine. Her resources would have still come in handy. As I said, I had no time to contact her after your call this morning. Plans change. How's Luca holding up? He's fine. We shouldn't lose sight of the fact that this is all... I know very well what all of this is for. We have no choice. Operation Sparkplug has a new objective. That's a stupid name. Are we in agreement? The three shared a determined look. Good. We'll reconvene after the festival. Gran? Why are you meeting with Mrs. Fratelli and Mr. Tolliver late at night? Okay, if her last name was Fratelli, I have to do the New York Italian accent. It's obligatory. Gah! Dawn, you scared me. How long have you been there? Oh, just a few minutes. Earlier today, I saw Mr. Tolliver and your gran enter the diner together. When my shift at the newsstand was over, they still hadn't left. So I used the great tool of any investigative reporter. Time! When they left, I tailed them here. What do you think they're up to? Whatever it is, they seemed organized and determined. They mentioned the festival. Yeah, I heard that too. Has your gran been doing anything different recently? Okay, I need to do a different voice. This is annoying. Anything strange? She got a phone call this morning and rushed out the door. A call from Hiram Tolliver, it seems. She was either furious or terrified. Or both. Luca, be careful out there. I think we might be in the middle of the scoop of a lifetime. I will. Aren't you coming out? Nah, I'm gonna stake out here for a bit longer. See you, Luca. I don't know why that was so funny, that animation. Just boop. Am I going the right way? Yes. Oh, I probably shouldn't be spotted, but I want to know what they're doing. Rollo? Rollo, are you there? I like that they made this static so it doesn't hurt my head. I'm at the treehouse now, Rollo. Mr. Care said you were all right. Well, he's clearly lying. He's a hyena. Hyenas are bad. We know this. I've seen The Lion King. What happened out there? Dang it, Rollo, where are you? He said he was underground. He's clearly been taken. You are very calm about this when maybe you should not be. Who's there? Luca could only see a cloaked shape behind the rocket. Oh, I thought he was in the rocket. I've got weapons in here, so you better come out right now. He strained to hear as a muffled voice began. Weapons? How could you hurt something that's already dead? Oh no! Fear gripped Luca's throat. Oh no, it's the poor kid. Oh, who are you? What? You don't recognize me? I guess I don't even recognize myself anymore. Luca stared at the ground for a moment, trying to place the dampened voice. The figure shifted slowly from behind the rocket, revealing itself to Luca. It's not that bad. I'm a monster. Now they hunt me like the beast I am. Okay, I'm sure this is terrifying, right? You're not dead. You just look a little funny. Iggy! Luca reached over empathetically. Also, I like that he's wearing a parka, apparently. Don't touch me! This is all your fault! Luca slumped to the ground, overwhelmed by guilt. I'm so sorry! I didn't mean to. I lost control. So you couldn't control yourself for a second, and I get to be like this forever? There must be a way to fix it. Oh? You gonna be my savior? Perfect little Luca saves the day. Well, you did make fun of his dead parents. So. With his positive attitude and the power of friendship. None of this matters. There's no time. They're after me. They chased me all through Weepwood. I only came in here to hide. Hide from who? Who's after you? Luca! Luca! Rollo? It's not safe, Luca! Rollo, where are you? The treehouse! I'm at the treehouse, Rollo. Where are you? No, Luca, the treehouse isn't safe! They said they were going to the treehouse! I was trying to tell you to stay away from the treehouse! Who said they're going to the treehouse? The clipboards! What did I tell ya? Those perennial harvest wackadoos are after me. They've been chasing me, yelling questions at me. What sort of questions? They're saying the same stuff they always do, but it's different now. Less asking, more threatening. We're gonna figure this out, Iggy. Yeah, well, thanks. Hello? Is anyone present in this arboreal domicile? Maybe they're clones. Crap, they found me. Luca, what's happening? Don't panic. You stay here and I'll see what they want. That is a terrible idea. Oh, good God. Hello, Mr. Van Horn. We would love to hear your thoughts. Do you have time for an informal chat? We will be brief. Your time is valuable to us. Be down in just a second. Of course, of course, of course. We have a problem. Luca, you gotta get out of there! Who's out there? Is it them? Yeah, it's the clipboards. A bunch of them. Did none of these people think it was strange that there were a bunch of identical people with clipboards asking questions just out of curiosity? How many? Maybe all of them? And yeah, you were right. They are saying the same stuff, but with the creepy knob cranked up to 10. Might young Iggy be present? We would love to hear his thoughts. Run! Iggy slumped to his knees. I don't know what to do. I'm just so tired. Luca, what do we do? Luca grabbed the walkie-talkie and headed for the window. Follow my lead. I'm glad he's not abandoning this child. Luca and Iggy climbed up to the back of the treehouse, to its roof, where Rollo had constructed his MCDC, the Mission Control Defense Cannon. Oh my god. From behind the crowd of clipboards, William Kerr strode forward, a warm smile on his face. Iggy, there you are. You gave us all a heck of a scare. Go away, just leave me alone. Oh, I'm sorry, Iggy, but no can do. Don't worry, though, we're here to help. Help? Then why were you chasing me? Luca, can you talk some sense into your pal here? Just look at him. He's not well. What's wrong with him? What did that gunk do to him? Well, that's a pretty honkin' big question, Luca. All you need to know is that he's sick. He's real sick, Luca. I just need you to let us up there and take care of him. Why aren't they pretending to be doctors or something? I don't know why anyone would trust a bunch of survey people. You told me Rollo was okay, that he was back at his place resting. He is. Poor fella just got a little lost. That's a lie! That is a hurtful thing to say, Luca. I thought we were buddies. Why? Because he lets you ramble on like a wackadoo? Nobody likes you, you creep. Kerr's smile faltered. Why don't you pop on down here so we can have a face-to-face? Yelling like this is gonna give us all a heck of a sore throat. And who wants that? Luca's grip tightened on the MCDC. What did you do to Rollo, you liar? Well, shucks, Luca. The only teeny tiny fib I told you was that he was at home. He is resting, and he is perfectly safe. For now, at least. What happens to him next is up to you, Luca. Look around. You're in quite the pickle, and I'm the only person in the whole wide world who can help you. You get to decide how this ends. Luca's mind raced. He was caught in a trap. What do you do when there's no hope? Iggy wiped his cheek with a sleeve. What are you gonna do, Luca? Luca drew himself up and decided to take the only option they had left. I do not want to fight. He swung the Mission Control Defense Cannon around, aiming it confidently at the smirking face of William Kerr. Haha, he's a Kerr. Hey, Mr. Kerr! Luca summoned his most insolent demeanor. Rollo sends his regards. Hey! That was uncalled for, more than a little rude, and just plain unsanitary. I don't understand what came out. Luca, I really did think we were good pals. Please, God, don't trust any adult that tells a child that they're pals. What a shame that it's come to this. Kerr turned his back on the two boys. End this. With a nonchalant wave of the hand, he made his exit. As the clipboards began to slowly advance on the treehouse, Luca looked to Iggy with resignation in his eyes. Why can't you just jump from the tree? That escalated quickly. Maybe discretion was the better part of valor here. Let's put a pin in this for now. I know. Okay, so obviously we tried fight. That did not work. There must have been something else that I didn't try. Okay, let's try struggle. This is a story about struggle. Luca could hear a machine humming somewhere nearby. He felt around wildly, searching for something. Anything that could help. His hand found a hard object. Maybe a tile? He yanked it free, lifting the cold stone. Let me go! Luca swung the tile as hard as he could at the shape that still held fast to his leg. He heard the crack of glass as the stone hit the assailant's mask. With a muffled yelp, the hand let go. Luca was free and scrambled to the door. He never looked back once on the long run home. Chapter 3. Everything's fine. The next morning it was quieter than usual at the breakfast table. Only the sound of silverware and chewing interrupted the awkward silence. I finished jarring a mess of jam last night. Uh-huh. So that'll need to get delivered into town today. Okay. So, what did you and Rollo get up to yesterday? Oh, Rollo had things to do, so I sort of just poked around town. I've set the jam down by the front door. There's 2 batches to drop off. One for Mr. Tolliver at the Bag and Wag. Another for Mrs. Fratelli at the diner. Jam secrets. Oh, and Mr. Nuncreed. He said he wanted some more. I suspected as much. Yes, he seems to have taken a particular interest in my jam. There are some extras in the basket for that enthusiastic gentleman. Just make sure Fratelli and Tolliver get the ones on top. No problem. Off with you now while the day is still young. So, I believe at this point, Rollo was taken home by Roxy to do chores, meaning that he never went to the factory. Or warehouse, I guess. I don't think it's a factory. Nope, that's the wrong way. Those old ones are heavy, the rotary ones. Hello, it's Juniper Hartford. Before you hang up, just hear me out. I have a business proposition. Oh, this must be the heiress. The simple matter is we both have the same problem that needs solving. Very well, we can meet tonight. Okay, sorry about yesterday. Roxy can be so annoying. But good news, no more boring chores for me today. Did you make it to the old Valentine warehouse? So, what'd you find? Give me the dirt. Something happened. There was someone else there. What? Who was it? Was it aliens? I knew it would be aliens. No. Zombies? No. Alien zombies? What else could it possibly be? Rollo, I've got to deliver these into town first. We can catch up after. Oh, is it a whole thing? It sounds like a whole thing. Yeah, we shouldn't talk about it here. Meet me at the treehouse tonight. I'm not sure what this treehouse is that you speak of. Meet me at Mission Control. Roger that, Space Cadet. He's so cute with this little jam. Okay, so we have to give one to Mr. Tolliver at I don't know where, and then Mrs. Fratelli at I also don't know where. Oh wait, he wasn't here before. Let's talk to him. Hello. Wait, watch your step. Sorry. There was a whole family of beetles here. They've gone missing. I thought they just sort of wandered around. Everyone has a home, Luca, even beetles. Luca checked the soles of his sandals. I think we're okay. It's weird that they're gone. They went missing when the festival preparations began. You think the noise scared them away? Something like that. Just watch where you step, okay? Wanna be nosy. At least the water still looks normal, mostly. Where am I supposed to see the Okay. It doesn't say where, though. I mean, it would make sense for them to be at the cafe, but I don't know if that is right or if I can get there. I know you can go up. Okay. I just don't want to go to the sign where Big Dog is, because then there is a chance I might get made, you know? No? Okay. Oh, let's see what the foreshadowing lady has to say. Anger from the past, mistakes not yet made, and a glimmering hope for the future. He carried them all in equal parts wherever he went. Oh heavens, what a burden to bear. Hello? Can I go in the town? No. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Luca. What's up? They got you on jam delivery, eh? Yep. Have you seen the new kid around yet? New kid? Yeah, came in from the big city. Her parents both got jobs here. But get this, one of them is working for William Curran Perennial Harvest, and the other is working for Eris Valentine. And? The Valentines represent Beacon Pine's past. Perennial Harvest has positioned itself as the town's future. Must make for some interesting dinner table conversations. I can imagine. That's one way to put it. Well, if it isn't my favorite little jam runner. Okay, I gotta do New York, right? Hey, Mrs. Fratelli. Look at you. She leaned forward and pinched Luca's cheek. You're all skin and bones. Is your gran not feeding you? This is a terrible accent. She is, it's just... I understand. You know, I taught your mama how to cook back in the day. You may not even remember, but you and her used to help out in the diner. See that picture over there? That's you helping your mama back in the day. So cute, running around in your little apron taking orders. The whole situation just breaks my heart. What happened with Eleanor? I've got a feeling she's out there somewhere, yearning to be with you again. Few things in this world can keep a mother from a son. Luca shifted the basket uncomfortably. Oh yes, let's see here. Mrs. Fratelli lifted the cloth and expected the jam. Ah, they even have my name on them. How thoughtful. She carefully lifted out her jars of jam. You tell your gran hello for me, Luca. Will do. Should I talk to this guy? He's the mayor, I think. If I could just be left alone, young Mr. Van Horn. Oh, sure. It's just that Mr. Kerr has asked me to make the opening speech at the festival. Being mayor and all, you might expect me to be a charismatic speaker. The truth is, I'm terribly nervous. I really don't think I'm cut out for this sort of thing. Cut out for being mayor or for public speaking? Both, I suppose. Never really chose any of this. It's more of a duty to my family, for our legacy. It sounds like a heavy burden. As for the festival, just speak from your heart. I'm sure it'll be great. Glad to know the corporation won't have any problems controlling him. Can I go farther? Nope. Okay, I can just go back there. Mr. Wilder, I trust you have time to chat? Oh, I have to change that. Eris Valentine, the older of Sharper Valentine's children and heir to the Valentine's fortune, had a way of making questions seem like demands. Certainly, what seems to be the problem? Mr. Wilder had learned to assume that if he was hearing from Eris, it was because she had taken issue with something he'd put in the paper. I couldn't help but notice that this morning's front paper was consumed by the stories about this silly festival. Well, yes, that's the news of the day. But there was no mention of the museum, nor the foundation through which it was endowed. I'm sorry, Miss Valentine. My readers are more interested in the town's future rather than any one family in particular. There was a time, Mr. Wilder, when the goings-on of my family was the only thing this town cared about. Well, things change, ma'am. And you know, change is dangerous. If you finish that thought, I will make that monocle a permanent fixture of your anatomy. My apologies. Good day, Miss Valentine. Did I give you the impression this conversation was finished? Mr. Wilder averted his gaze and began to polish his monocle. Well, good day, Mr. Wilder. I don't really want to root for the corporation or the mean heiress lady. Oh well. How do you keep the ice cream cold? We keep them on ice. Where do you get the ice from? I don't know, somewhere cold. How do they keep somewhere cold? Look, Bert, do you want some ice cream or not? No, I'm good. Huddled at his counter, Hiram Tolliver was meticulously shining apples. Oh god, it's Veronica Lodge's dad. More accurately, Hiram Tolliver was meticulously shining one apple. Hello? Eeh! With a yelp, Mr. Tolliver fumbled the apple, flailing at the air as it fell. Oh, sorry. No bother. He leaned forward and lowered his voice. I see you have something for me? Yeah, granted some jam I'm supposed to give you? He leaned in a bit further. Jam? Yeah, these ones on top. She wrote your name on them. Mr. Tolliver leaned back, speaking loud enough for anyone to hear. Ah, yes, the jam. Thank you so much for delivering the jam to me. He reached forward and snapped up the jars of jam, giving Luca a little wink. I shall put it on my store shelves post haste. Okay, I should finish my deliveries. Of course. Of course. He leaned in for a final whisper. Of course. Well, easy to tell who is the spy in this operation and who is perhaps not. I wonder what this guy... I wonder what's in the jam. I assumed messages. I hope this guy just gets regular jam and is like really pissed about it. Got some jam for you, Mr. Nuncreed. Luca, you seem chipper. Well, aside from being on delivery duty, it's a nice day. Mr. Nuncreed eyed Luca for a moment, then nodded in agreement. I suppose it is. So, do you want your jam? Oh, right. Usually Juniper drops these off herself. I guess she's busy today. Anyway, this is my last delivery for the day. Oh, in that case. Nuncreed snatched the basket from Luca. I'll hold on to the basket until the next time I see your gran. No? What the fuck? Hey, you! Anchovies or pineapple? What? Don't think. Just answer. Pineapple? Why? How old are you? 12. Perfect, follow me. Who are you? Anyone ever tell you ask too many questions? Just try to keep up, okay? What just happened? Well. Never trust anyone wearing a sweater vest. Okay, so one of her parents is a mouse. No, both of her parents are mice, I think. Hey, what a crazy coincidence! Here's my new friend I was just telling you about. Oh, that's wonderful! Yep, we just hit it off. Oh, really? Get this, his favorite pizza topping in the whole world is pineapple. And what is your new little friend's name? Beck locked eyes with Luca. The look on her face was equal parts expectant and desperate. Luca Van Horn. Nice to meet you. I'm Nellie, and this is Ilona. Okay, my guess is that Ilona is the one working for the corporation, and Nellie is working for the family. We'll see. We're Beck's parents. Beck gave Luca a quick nudge. Oh yeah, Beck told me all about you. Already feels like we've known each other for years. So you both can stop obsessing about me making friends. Oh, darling, we never doubted you. It's just that for children with fewer than 5 close friends, the probability of a stunted development doubles. Don't make childhood jokes. Well, 1 down, 4 to go, I guess. What Nellie means is that we just want this move to be as easy on you as possible. You can relax. A friend has been friended. This calls for a celebration. Luca, you must join us for dinner tonight. Dinner? Wow, another coincidence. I actually already asked him and he said he would love to. It's just wonderful. In that case, we should pick up some groceries. You two don't get into too much trouble now. I wonder if one of them's non-binary because they keep calling themselves parents, not mothers or moms. Wow, I can't believe that worked. Thanks a ton. You're welcome? I owe you one. Okay, my moms are great and all, but they can be a bit much sometimes. Our house is the little cottage next to that big mansion place. Wait, you live on the Valentine estate? Yeah, that's the spot. Meet me by their big creepy gate. Don't be late. Or I'm back to square one on this whole friend grift. Great, see you there. Why do all of these children run? Meet Beck at big creepy gate. I guess I should just go there now. There's no time on this at all. Who are you? Good morning, Jeff. What's so good about it? Another day further down the tubes, if you ask me. Come on now, it's not all bad. The festival's coming up. The festival. Old man Valentine used to put on cockamamie shindigs all the time. And where'd that get us? Well, it's Perennial Harvest putting on this one, and they're doing it for the whole town. As far as I see it, the difference between the old Valentine company and this new Perennial Harvest outfit, Jeff dug through his pockets for a bit, is the difference between this empty soup can and this brown banana. But those are both garbage. Exactly. Can I go in the library? It was fun last time. Hi, Pumpkin Sarge. Hey, Kato. Good afternoon, Luca. Why are children working so many places? Can I help you find something? Maybe, maybe not. Try me. Well, there's been some weird stuff going on at the old Valentine warehouse. Can't say I know anything about the old warehouse. I really dislike the penguin's hands. It really freaks me out. But empty hives don't stay empty for long. Huh? Kato motioned toward the book in front of him. The more I read about bees, the more similarities I see with people. If a hive collapses and fails, it doesn't stay empty for long. A new queen will set up shop pretty quickly. So you're saying it would make sense for someone new to start using the warehouse? Nature abhors a vacuum. Hey, Jace. Oh, hey, Luca. Have you seen this new issue of Hank Atomic? Not yet. No spoilers, please. It's awesome. It's a flashback. No spoilers, please. We get to see how the mild-mannered Henry Adams becomes Hank Atomic, man of space justice. Jace. No spoilers. Sorry. My point is you're gonna love it. Alright, Jace. Catch you later. Roger that, Space Cadet. Can I go inside the drugstore? No. Can I go inside the phone booth? No. I love this art so much. Hey, look, bees. So who all lives in that house? Eris and Gus Valentine grew up there. Is her name Eris? And Solomon moved in a few years back. The creepy little kid in the vest? That sounds like the one. So just 3 people live in that huge thing? Bet a bunch of shady stuff happens all the time in a place like that. Not really. The Valentines pretty much keep to themselves. So it's empty and boring? Pretty much. What a waste. My mom says that it used to be way busier back before Sharper died. Before the fall harvest. Okay, that's like the 5th time someone mentioned this foul harvest thing. And you all use the same ominous tone. Eventually you're gonna have to explain to me how the harvest got all fouled up, but we can't keep my parents waiting anymore. This way. I love you, Sarge. You don't need more food yet. Okay, that's such a cute house. I would like to live there, please. Most kids would have just ditched me by this point. Why are you still here? You looked like you could use some help. You know what, Luca? You're not so bad. Let's get through this as simply as possible. Just eat, smile, and nod. Fun. Great. Whatever you do, don't bring up their work. Think I can handle that. Beck took a long breath, then gave a firm nod. Here goes nothing. Hi, Pokey. I love you. Chapter 4. Dinner with the Moedvilles? Ilona Moedville was worried about change. A gardener at heart, she understood the necessity of change, relied on it, even. But there was a difference between the controlled world of her plants and this cluttered cottage in a strange town. Almost done! Nellie was a blur of activities, digging through the boxes. Sorry, love, couldn't find the dishes. We'll have to make do with paper plates. Dinner went by without much conversation. As she watched Beck and Luca finish up their pizza, Ilona let herself relax into the chair. The things she cared about were still here. Nellie finally had the job of her dreams. Beck was beginning to take root. Ilona's task was simply to tend to them. She could do that. So, Luca, tell us a bit about yourself. Where do you live? Oh, I live with my grandma. Over on the other side of the river. Your grandma? Where are your parents at? Beck! Manners. It's alright. My dad passed away in an accident at the fertilizer plant 6 years back. Oh dear. My mom's been missing for a few months now. Like missing? Luca's eyes were fixed to his plate, pushing a chunk of pineapple around with his finger. Nellie was the one who eventually broke the silence. Luca, how'd you like the pizza? It was good. Very good. Normally we'd have put more effort into dinner. Ilona nervously gestured toward the boxes. We aren't fully settled in, and Beck had mentioned that it's your favorite. I'm sorry, are we just skipping the part where he said his mom was missing? Beck! I'm sorry, Luca. This move has us all a little tired. Luca wiped his face with his sleeve. No, it's fine. So, Beck said that you moved here for work? Beck gave Luca a swift kick under the table. Ow! I mean, what brought you to Beacon Pines? Oh, you were right the first time. We're here for work. I love their eyeliners. Oh, she's the one. Nellie won't tell you this, but she's a brilliant chemist. I don't know about brilliant, but I do love it. She's brilliant. Perennial Harvest just made her their newest lead researcher of deep engineering. She makes it sound more impressive than it is. I don't want the nice lesbian mouse to be in on the horror. I'm just happy that I get to make a difference in the world. Perennial Harvest is at the forefront of evolving agriculture into something more useful than sprinkling water and excrement on the ground. Luca glanced over at Beck. She seemed to be holding her breath. What Nellie means, Luca, is that there are different ways to grow plants. Yes, some people talk to their plants and hope for the best. And some people happily leave their job to allow a loved one to pursue their dream. You swore you didn't! Beck slammed her fist into the table. Perhaps harder than she intended. Hey, Luca! How about some dessert? I actually have to meet my friend Rollo soon. Luca glanced outside to gauge the time. The sky was darker than he expected, filled with ominous clouds. Looks like there's a storm brewing. I should get going. Oh, I didn't think there was any rain in the almanac. Yeah, almanacs aren't really that useful around here. Luca wiped his mouth one last time with his napkin and started to get up. Thank you all for the pizza. It was really good. See you at the festival, Beck. Wait up. I'll walk you home. Surprised, Luca turned around. He knew Rollo could be prickly around new people, but Beck seemed cool. Rollo would warm up to her eventually. Probably. Luca began to respond, but the sky answered for him as the clouds above began to... Let's try break. Presumably that would mean that it's not going to storm, right? Revealing patches of star-filled summer night. Moonlight filtered down, shimmering in the treetops. Sure, you can meet Rollo. You're not going home? No, I promised Rollo I'd tell him about... Lucas stopped himself mid-sentence. Promise you tell him about what? Spit it out, bub. We're thick as thieves now. If there's a juicy secret, you gotta tell me. Okay, you could come to the treehouse and I'll tell you both what happened. Heck yeah. I like Beck. Lucas saw Beck skulking by the gate. So you're telling me there's nothing mysterious or creepy about this place? It's mostly boring and empty. I refuse to believe that. Big spiked gate, looming mansion, rich reclusive owners, it even smells shady. Beck grabbed the wrought iron bars and shook the gate. Mark my words, you decadent nightmare house. You will reveal your secrets to me! Iconic. What did you do? First of all, I told you so. Second, hide! That's Iris Valentine. Who's that she's talking to? Shh! I expect you to return that suit in working order. Of course. As long as everything proceeds as planned, there's nothing to worry about. The only thing I'm worried about is what's rightfully mine. If that means making some unsavory alliances, so be it. Couldn't agree more. There comes a time to suspend hostilities. I'll deal with our common threat. Now this is what I was talking about. Fine. Pardon as I feed my dog before he eats me. Okay. Beck's voice was an excited whisper. Proper shady stuff! Someone in a suit like that tried to grab me yesterday. Seriously? Shh! You do understand that when this all inevitably fails, I will deny everything? I wouldn't expect any less of you. You just worry about your part in this and let me handle the rest. I can't wait to see the look on that Rube Care's face. Yes, the truth will come to light. I'm still surprised you're so comfortable with the potential collateral damage. There's one thing I've learned, it's that change is painful. Wow, I was expecting shady, but that's just flat out supervillain talk. If you don't mind me asking, why? Why are you doing all of this? The mysterious figure retracted their mask, hair pushing out from all corners. Family. A chill ran down Luca's spine. His vision blurred. Beck stifled a sharp wince, and Luca looked down to see himself wrenching her hand. An answer I can certainly respect. Gran tousled her hair back under the face mask. Just remember, keep everything nice and normal until the festival. I don't need lessons in rousing suspicion. Gran gave Eris a curt nod and disappeared into the night. Why the fuck would you wear that out and about? Also, yas, Gran, infiltrate the scary place. Chapter 5. What big ears you have. Do I want to go back? I want to see... Nah. Lucas sat shivering in the bushes, staring at his feet. After checking to make sure the coast was clear, Beck gave him a gentle tug on his sweater. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Why were you so scared of that old lady in the hazmat suit? That was my gran. That was your gran. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm sure there is a perfectly reasonable explanation for all of this. Let's just get to the treehouse and figure things out there. Lead the way. I mean, maybe they're kids so they didn't understand, but what I got from that was I am going to infiltrate the bad place so that they don't hurt my family any more than they presumably have. For the last time, there's nothing to worry about. Of course, we're not worried. The clipboard finished writing with a scratchy flourish and looked up. Just dotting our I's and crossing our T's. Well, maybe try minding your P's and Q's. Mr. Nuncreed, arms crossed over his paunch, gave an exhausted sigh. If there's anything you need knowing, you'll know it. Absolutely. If you'll just sign here, acknowledging everything is accurate, we'll be out of your hair in a flash. Oh, for the love of... He snatched the pad and scribbled his name so hard the pen nearly snapped. There. And would you like my eternal soul as well? The clipboards looked at each other for a moment, almost pondering the possibility, then broke into laughter as they walked away. Ha! Ha ha ha! Ha 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 ha! Can I look at the phone booth? I don't want to go past. La la la. Wait, actually, can I talk to him? Hi, Mr. Nuncreed. Luca, let me give you some advice. Next time someone you don't know asks to hear your thoughts, give him a good hard bop right in the kisser. Grant tells me to just keep away from the clipboards. That's good, that's good. Your Grant's a smart lady, Luca. Speaking of which, you better run along home now. Too dark out to be wandering on your own. Okay, bye! Let's talk to our favorite foreshadower. The answers you seek will be revealed to you in due time. The question is, the figure intoned, are you prepared to live with the truth? Another day, another dollar. See you tomorrow, Z. Have you noticed how all the Perennial Harvest folks order the same drink? Decaf cappuccino with extra foam. Why? I don't know. Just thought it's a little odd. They are identical and you think it's weird that they have identical coffee orders? Pretty weird for sure. Well, customer's always right. See you bright and early tomorrow. I can't wait. That doesn't look ominous or anything. Oh god, those fuckers are out and about. The thing is, this could be like 7 o'clock at night, or it could be midnight, I don't know. William Kerr and Gus Valentine proudly surveyed the half-covered festival banner. It's all come together quite nicely. Couldn't have done it without you. The mayor gave a half-hearted shrug. I'm not so sure about that. Nonsense! That reminds me I wasn't able to thank your sister for her contributions. Yes, she has been indisposed of late. She doesn't much like me, does she? Oh no, that's not it at all. She's just been busy. Of course. Regardless, I would be forever grateful to you if you could pass on my thanks to her. The History Museum adds a real air of import to the whole affair. We couldn't very well celebrate the story of Beacon Pines without including the Valentines. My father was a great man. You're darn tootin' he was. Kerr locked his arm on Gus's shoulder. But I mean the entire Valentine family, present company included. Can I ask you something, Mr. Kerr? Call me William. Ask away. William, why are you doing all of this? Gosh, I've never felt one needed a compelling reason to throw a party. Not just the festival, all of this. There's gotta be 100 down on their luck towns out there. I find that to be a conservative estimate. Why is Perennial Harvest so invested in helping Beacon Pines? You know what I love most about the agriculture business? Seeds. Seeds? Yep, little bundles of potential. With a glimmer in his eye, Kerr gestured grandly toward the horizon. You treat a seed right, nurture it, feed it, and it can grow into something truly special. You see potential here? Undoubtedly. The seed of greatness is already under our feet. All it needs is a little nudge and the right leadership, of course. Oh. Good night, Mayor Valentine. Of course they live there. Better not dilly-dally. Gotta get to the treehouse. I didn't know that was a place I could go. Oh no, that's how to get home, I think. Oh, this is nice! Yeah, the treehouse is just a little further from here. So what's your buddy Rollo like? Rollo? He's... Rollo. Not particularly helpful. Sorry, I've just never thought about it. Lots of energy. He's funny even when he's not trying to be. Things have been tough for his family since the foul harvest. It's about damn time you tell me what this foul harvest thingy is. It's kinda a long story. Hit me with some highlights. Okay, there used to be a fertilizer company here called Valentine's. They were kind of a big deal. Ooh, big deal fertilizer. It was a big deal to us. Their stuff really worked. Farmers loved it. So Valentine's grew and grew. Beacon Pines pretty much grew around it. Most everyone in town either worked for Sharper Valentine or used his fertilizer. Things were good. I'm sensing a big but. Around 6 years ago, Sharper Valentine suddenly died. And something changed. Changed how? Could have been a bad batch. Maybe it was in the water, or air, or soil. Nobody knows. But all the crops died, and everyone blamed the Valentines. The foul harvest. Yeah. Valentine's fertilizer went out of business. Half the town lost their jobs. Sheesh. The next year the crops came back, but something was different. You plant a crop, do everything right, and it's sort of a crapshoot what happens. And no one knows why? Nope. I take it Rollo's farm got the short end of the stick? Yep, for some reason their farm was hit harder than the others. That sucks. Things have gotten better since Perennial Harvest came to town. The Beacon Pines Reborn initiative? Yep, first thing they did was give the town a deep scrub. They even put us up in hotels, one town over for a week, while they decontaminated the groundwater. We better get going. It's about time! I was about to give up and go home. Who's the new kid? Name's Beck. You must be Rollo. I see my reputation precedes me. Welcome to Mission Control. Rollo waggled his head with pride. You'll find we spared no expense in construction. I've seen worse looking piles of junk. Thanks! Hey Luca, you know the security concerns we talked about? Yeah? While I was waiting, I made some improvements. Let me lock this baby down for a little test infiltration. Can't be too safe these days. He goes all out, doesn't he? Always. Hey, Rollo, are you gonna... Oh, okay, they want me to hit the target. I don't know how this is a security device, but no. Where did you guys get all this junk in the first place? There's a guy in town named Jeff who trades us junk for snacks. Junk food for junk. Nice. So, pretty sweet security, right? It was imaginative, I'll give you that. Luca, are we sure we can trust the new recruit? I'll vouch for her. Thanks, I guess? Okay, Luca, you promised to fill me in about the Valentine warehouse. Luca sucked in a long breath. So like I said, there was someone there. What were they doing? I don't know, but the place was lit up and active. Maybe they were squatters? I don't think so, it seemed more organized. When the man pulled me in, I saw some sort of equipment running. A man pulled you in? Yeah, but I got away. You keep saying it was a man. They were wearing a mask, right? Yeah? Then it could have been a woman. How'd you get away? I grabbed a rock or something and broke their mask. They let go and I ran. Dang. That's intense. No wonder you freaked out when you saw your grandma. Yeah, that's the other part. On our way here, Beck and I saw Eris Valentine meeting with Grant, wearing the same sort of hazmat suit. Rolla let out a low whistle. And they weren't there for idle chit-chat. It was a proper clandestine meetup. So let me get this straight. There's an operation in full swing at the Valentine warehouse. You were almost abducted by a strange man or woman in a protective suit, and then you saw your Grant in the same suit talking to Eris Valentine. Pretty much. I'm beginning to think this town is kind of awesome. Rollo and Luca shot back a look. No offense. And so we can logically conclude aliens or alien zombies have infiltrated the town. And their leaders are Grant and she tried to murder you. First of all, and for the last time, there are no aliens. Second, it couldn't have been my Grant at the warehouse. I broke that person's mask to get away. The mask Grant was wearing wasn't damaged. But she's definitely hiding something. Maybe. Your Grant is weird, but she might be the most boring person in the universe. All she does is sit around all day making jam. What could she possibly have to hide? I don't know, we haven't talked much since she moved in. Moved in? Your Grant isn't from here? No, she came a few months back to take care of me after his mom went missing. Did you know your Grant before? Not really, no. It'd been years since I'd seen her. Luca, don't take this the wrong way, but are we sure your Grant is on the up and up? Luca gazed out the window. I'm just saying, it sounds like strange stuff has been happening since she showed up. We could say the same thing about your family, but you're right. Luca, your Grant's hiding something, and Pa always says, folks only bury stuff worth digging up. We need to investigate your house. She does have a locked closet of secrets. If my Grant really is hiding something, don't you think I would have noticed by now? That's kind of the whole point of hiding something. Guess you're right. Grant's been leaving the house for hours at a time this week. I'll call you tomorrow when the coast is clear and we can start getting to the bottom of this. I'm always game for a good snoop. You can count me in. Chapter 6, Secret Lair. But that's a layer as in like a stack. Summer forged ahead, but the nights only seemed to grow colder. Luca walked home slowly under the pale starlight, cautious to avoid any more surprises lurking in the shadows. Reaching home, he slipped quietly into bed, half dreading what they might discover the next day. What time is it? No Gran. Walk into a wall. Rolo, what on earth is that? The ridiculous thing on your head. Oh, this? It helps me think. You're gonna need a lot more of those. Joke all you want. We'll see who's laughing when I crack this case wide open. The coast is clear? Yep, whatever she's been up to this week, it's been keeping her busy most of the day. Very well. The game is afoot. That's really funny. That's the thing I use for my Twitch, like, going live announcements. The game is afoot. Luca and Beck rolled their eyes as Rolo strutted across the room. If I were a Gran, where would I hide my deepest, darkest secrets? Perhaps where you might least expect it. Rolo flung open the cabinet with confidence. Aha! He coughed as a veil of dust hid his face. I think it's safe to assume anything that dusty isn't what we're looking for. Or maybe that's what she wants you to think. Then again, any good detective knows not to trust their first hunch. First hunches are for suckers. Eureka! She's lit a fire in order to burn the evidence. She keeps that fire going every day, Rolo. Drat! It may already be too late. I love these children, and I must protect. And I need a light. There we go. Just think of the mounds of documents lost to ash! Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there. Can we just think for a moment? Luca, is there anywhere Gran doesn't want you to go? Yeah? The closet upstairs. So maybe it stands to reason that we should check there first? No dice, it's locked. Well, well, well. Look who stands to reason now. And I have no idea where the key is. If it really is important, then she probably keeps it with her. Anywhere else? She has her berry bushes? Who has ever thought I am going to take this important thing and huck it into a bush? True. Anything else? Maybe something out of the ordinary? Well, she is always worried I'll break her fancy dishware in the kitchen. But it doesn't matter anyway, I can't reach the latch. A look of realization crept onto Luca's face. All three kids snapped to glance at each other, then sprinted and turned toward the kitchen. I was gonna go with his parents' bedroom because he's too traumatized to go in there. But... Alright, Rolo. This is your time to shine. Ah, yes. You've called upon my expert detective skills. And now I shall proceed with... Before he could finish, Luca scrambled up Rolo's back. Hey, this isn't my idea of detective work. Every squad needs a good lockpick, and every good lockpick needs a sturdy head to sit on. This is beneath my standing. Stop complaining and hold still. Got it. The three crowded around the hutch to peer in. With the glass doors opened, a perfect porcelain display gleamed in front of them. Their eyes searched for anything amiss, but the only distinct feature was its impeccability. Well, that was anticlimactic. Yeah, I don't really know what we were expecting. Like, oh hey, let me just yank on this random teacup and... As Beck pulled on one of the teacups, it slanted forward with a hollow click. The entire hutch began to rustle and slide under its own power. Okay, so did Gran build this, or was that just there? Seems like your Gran has been doing some remodeling. Dude, only two types of people have secret layers. Evil masterminds and superheroes. So, which one do we think she is? We're about to find out. Okay, so more of an unhinged conspiracist vibe? Oh, wow. Yeah, this can't be good. We need to look around before jumping to conclusions. It doesn't look that bad. I mean, the toxic waste thing isn't great, but... What do we have here? Barrels marked caution explosive. And jam jars? That's enough jam to feed the whole town. What kind of incendiary jam is your Gran making? She wouldn't have let me walk around town delivering bombs, right? Only one way to find out! Rollo casually spun open a lid and dipped his finger in the jam. Huckleberries. He smacked his lips. A hint of brown sugar and... ink? What? Rollo plunged his hand into the jar, fishing out a soggy slip of paper. Aha! Rollo offered the slimy note to Luca and licked his fingers clean. It's addressed to Mrs. Fratelli. A grand jamgram? It says, last night I used the disguise Eris provided to scout the location. The timing window should be possible. Operation Sparkplug, still a stupid name, is a go. Oh man, are they doing a heist? Whatever it is, it can't be good. So, more a bombshell than a bomb, am I right? You're new here, so I'll let it slide. But I'm the bad joke guy around here. A spiderweb of string connected photos of people from the town, interspersed with hastily scrawled notes. Well, she sure has kept herself busy. Is your gran a serial killer? 'Cause I'm starting to get a vibe. Don't be ridiculous. Sure, she's just tracking the movements of everyone in town. How did they not put together maybe she's looking for his mom? Or his dad's killer? Out of the kindness of her heart. She put little symbols by some of them. Yeah, Mr. Nuncreed has a check mark. The clipboards are all inside a big circle. My moms are both on here. Both with question marks. Gus Valentine has a question mark. Eris has a question mark that's been crossed out. Mr. Kerr is a bullseye. The killer has chosen her next victim! We don't know what any of this means. Whatever it means, it's probably not good. Move. Luca jostled each cabinet drawer in turn. Only one was unlocked. He fingered through the filing cabinet, pausing at a bulging folder labeled Walter. For a long moment, he just stared at it. What you got there? It's... my dad. Looks like some of his old medical files. Your dad was a doctor? Luca nodded and caressed the label with his thumb. Well, are you gonna read it? Here, let me help. Rollo swiped the folder from the drawer and began leafing through the pages. He whistled to himself, barely looking at the text. How about you actually read some of it? Oh, Jesus. Who needs jump scares when you have dogs? One sec. Dense documents such as this are a lot like a cheeseburger. It's best to skip straight to the middle. That's where all the meaty bits live. Wow, I had no idea we were in the preeminent scholar in dense documents and cheeseburgers. By all means, proceed. He stopped at a page and mind holding up a monocle. Ah, here we are. Follow-up examination of Terrence Willoughby. Patient shows further signs of paleness and malaise. Body temperature continues to drop. He is now describing soreness of muscle and joints. Oh, he's me! This is similar to the symptoms exhibited by Mrs. Willoughby just a few days past. Still waiting on lab results from Joseph. Rollo looked up with heightened surprise. See? Creepy! Yeah, that's kinda disturbing. Who's Joseph? That's Mr. Nuncreed's name. Wait. Rollo's finger traced across the page. There's more scribbled in the margins. Could it be contagious? Mr. Willoughby claims the tap water at his home has been contaminated, perhaps environmental. Lab results only raise more questions. It's like he came back to this report later and made those notes. So it might be related to something else? Rollo scanned through several more pages. Here, the writing looks shaky. I just couldn't help her. This disease or whatever it is progresses so fast. And with his wife passing, Terrence's condition follows close behind, exacerbated by the loss. Enough is enough. I need to take matters into my own hands. Luca, staring blankly at the cabinet this whole time, spoke softly. What does it say next? Rollo rustled the folder, trying to loose more pages. That's where it ends. What? There has to be more! Luca frantically shoved the remaining cabinet folders, trying to find another labeled Walter. Luca, I think that's the only one. It's alphabetical. See? What did he mean enough is enough? How did he take matters into his own hand? This is bullshit! Luca slammed the drawer shut. Sarge! I was hoping to finish the chapter before we ended this, but we'll see if I...
Sarge, chill out. No!
They crowded around a worn-down old map of Beacon Pines. Cool, this looks like a treasure map. Not every old map is a treasure map, Rollo. Yeah, but every treasure map is an old map. Can't follow that logic. Look, there's even a pathway drawn on it. It starts at the entrance to town. And if we follow it... Rollo carefully traced the path with his fingers. It leads right to... He jabbed down to the end point. Town Square? That's the fountain in the middle of town. What a weird place to hide treasure. Rollo, that doesn't look like treasure to me. The end of the path on that map has the same symbol as those explosives over there. So it's not hiding treasure? Real bummer. Rollo, what's the thing you've been excited about for the past month? The festival. Did you just say gulp? This feels like a gulp kind of situation. Everyone will be gathered near the center of town. She's gonna blow up the festival! Not if we stop her. I was going for contaminated water began at fountain, but okay. What was that? Luca looked up from the map. What was what? No, I heard it too. That was the front door, which means someone just shut the door. Which means someone's upstairs! Quiet. Hit the lights. Beck flicked off the light, and they became statues in the dark. Overhead, creaking floorboards bent under slow, deliberate steps. Kids looked up, the tilt of their necks following each footfall. Then suddenly it stopped. Without realizing they'd been holding their breath, all three exhaled shakily and glanced at each other. A muffled male voice broke the silence. Hello? A final few footsteps reached the entrance above them, and the voice now echoed down the stairs. Anyone down there? The three kids shuffled to the corners without a peep. As he began to descend the stairs, the man's voice punctuated every new step. Yoo-hoo! I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm just here to help. Just... At the bottom of the step, the man paused, squinting to search the room for signs of life. Guess it's nothing. Rollo shifted suddenly. Luca gave him an intense, chastising look and whispered through clenched teeth. Rollo, don't. It was too late. Rollo was already inching toward the stairway. He screeched as he charged toward the shadowy figure. Flaming chicken coop! With all his weight, Rollo tackled the man to the ground. Rollo? Mysterious creepy man? Anyone there? From the dark corner, they saw something move. Well, didn't know if I had it in me, but there was only one way to find out. Holy crap, Rollo, that was awesome! Wait, did you just kill that person? Luca scrambled to the hunched figure on the ground. Pressing his fingers to the man's neck, he sighed with relief. You sure clobbered him good, Rollo. He's knocked out cold. As Beck flicked back on the light, Luca and Rollo both gasped in stereo. Mr. Tolliver? Alright, that seems like a great suspenseful place to end on. So we're going to do that. Thank you if you were hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. My throat hurts now. It's a very reading intense game, as you may have noticed. So, yeah, I'm just going to end it here. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll be able to do Final Fantasy Friday tomorrow. We'll see. Until then, thanks for watching.